When you only talk to people in your occupation, you only think in those terms. And so sometimes it's powerful to get outside of that box, outside of that occupation, and listen and talk to people who are coming at it from a different perspective.
I want to know the intervention that is proximal to the test.
So
what I think the Kelley School modules do is that it provides a different context for them to think about.
We're using business strategies and those very streamlined approaches to organize change.
Any business, and particularly in the world today, is faced with constant change. And therefore, there was a possibility that if we could put together a group of educators and then spoke to them in terms of how a business would turn around part of their business that was failing, it might be a useful metaphor for them to use and translate to the world of education.
And so when I first sat down with them, it was taking them through the business process. And so in essence, it was a lot about project management. These people from the schools are very good at what they do. They're very good as educators, but they're very tactical. They have to do a lesson plan for this week, a lesson plan for next week, and it's step by step, piece by piece, very tactical. And what we tried to do was really kind of take the blinders off, not be tactical, but be strategic. And so as I sat down with them, it was really pushing them through a process that they weren't used to.
I think that especially being in education, which I've been in for 14 years, we are very stuck in thinking one way. And so we're trying to go about problems with the same sort of thinking. And this really challenged us, and especially with the help of our peer coach, and our School of Business coach, to think differently about some things, and they were able to point out a lot of things that we kind of skipped over.
How to put a project into place. To me, that was the most important thing, because this particular project, we know that we can carry it through, but our coaches, Carl and Daisy Lovelace, our coach from the School of Ed, they really pushed on us on how we were going to measure whether or not it was successful. It makes us come up with a way to show whether or not the project worked. And I think the more we are able to prove whether or not something works, the better we're going to be able to replicate those kinds of things in the future.
We knew where we had to get, we know where we were, and we were at point B, we wanted to get to point A, and I think by participating in this series, we were able to see the steps that could get us there.
So we'd started the process a little, but when we went to IU, we were kind of forced to really do that work and put the hard work in that needed to go into it, rather than doing it over the course of a few years.
We did data, and we provided it to the teachers, in years past, for them to have prior knowledge of the students that they had, their strengths and weaknesses. But this was really the first time that we tried to sit down and incorporated the data into a plan.
I realized that our high school could be a perfect candidate to take a look at the business model as it complements education, and the fact that everything was data driven, and that an entire paradigm shift didn't need to occur, but there did need to be some change in the direction that previously had occurred at the school.
They made it manageable. They didn't say try to, transform your entire school in one semester. They said pick an area, work on it, find one small part of that you can work on, and go for it.
The things that we put into place going through the partnership, we saw immediate increase in our English scores. A 12% jump this last year in students passing the ECA for the cohort. That was huge for us.
As a former superintendent, you get tired of being told by others how to do something. There are people in our profession that are doing things and doing it quite well. Why aren't we involving them in these kinds of transformations? And that's what we did.